get you for you?
Good morning. I have an on-the-go order for Aaliyah.
All right, Aaliyah, go ahead for it.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. It is May 7th and I still have not done an April wrap-up. Life is lifing, y'all. Every time I think I'm going to sit down and do it, I got to go run some errands, or I got to do this, I got to do that. And by the time I make it home, I'm looking crazy. And I'm like, what I'm not going to do is play dress up for YouTube. I try to be authentic on here. I try to give y'all whatever I'm looking like at that time. I try to give it to y'all, but I'm not about to go through all of that. But anywho, so I decided I have to multitask to be able to get this video to y'all. So I have to work today, but I brought my books with me. And we're gonna cross our fingers that my day is not crazy today. So when I go on my lunch break, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the books I've been reading. I've read some really good books, but really it was toward like the end of the month. I think I read some good ones. I don't know, I had a couple of good ones in there, but nothing to like write home about, I guess. And I'll go over those when I go on lunch. I'm probably gonna be looking crazy. I'm just gonna put that disclaimer out now because these days are rough at work. I don't know, depends on the type of patience I have. Depends on how rough I'm gonna look. So I will see y'all on my lunch break later on this afternoon. Okay guys, so I'm on lunch and these are the books that I'm gonna go through with you guys because that's all the books I read in April. There was 2 that I read on my Kindle, so I'll just kind of put them up there and talk about them a little bit. First, in no order as always, I have The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. Again, I'll put my ratings up there too because I can't, go off memory because it's so late of me doing this video. The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. So I read The Coldest Winter by her, and I remember feeling as if like I was missing something by the end of the story. So I was kind of, skeptical about going into another book by her, but I'm so glad that I just went on and read this. This one was so good. You felt so many emotions reading this book. So this follows, again, I'm not gonna remember everybody's names. So Emery and Oliver are the main characters. Oliver was in a band with his twin brother. Tragic happens, and he loses his brother. I believe this is over. Yeah, it says it on the back of this book, so I'm not spoiling anything. So his twin brother passes away, and he is not dealing. He is not dealing at all. So Emery, she works in a bar, and this guy Oliver comes into the bar. Mind you, he's like a pop star, R&B star, so he's famous, but he's got his hat low. Nobody, he's kind of incognito. She notices him. He is plastered. He is drunk out of his mind, and she basically was like, you got to get out of here because all these fans start coming in and everything's starting to notice who he was. So she was like, come with me. So she ends up taking him to her apartment to kind of like just sober up or whatever. And she's a single mom of a little girl named Reese, and I love little Reese in this story. Reese carried the story for me. She was adorable. But the whole point of the story is basically showing how you can have that one person basically to kind of carry you through and show you that there is life after death. You can still be happy. You can still have a life. So you definitely got to get your happily ever after at the end of this one. Like I say all the time, it's so hard to explain these books without giving them away. So I just loved it. It kind of had you teary-eyed at some points. It was just a really sweet read, and I really loved it. It does show tragedy. It does show all the drama that Emery had to deal with her parents and her sister. So you get the love story, but you get so many side plots with that. And I love books like that where you just don't have just the story, because you can get bored sometimes, but if you have all these little things going on, it makes the best story for me. So Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. Then I have Daisy Jones and the Six. So when I first started my reading journey, Taylor Jenkins Reid and Colleen Hoover were like my people to go to. Those were my go-to authors. I read every single thing by Taylor Jenkins Reid except Carrie Soto was back in this. So I was happened to be in my little favorite used bookstore, and I saw this on like the best deal ever. So I was like, why not? The thing that threw me off about this book originally was that it was written like in interview format. So it was like the name, what they had to say, the name, what they had to say. And I was like, why would you write a book like this? It's so weird. But again, only reason I got this book is just because it was cheap. So I was like, why not? I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I could have read this book before I read a lot of her other stuff. And I don't dislike any book that I've read by her. This was so good. It follows a fictitious 70s rock band. So 70s rock. So you got your drugs, you got your sex, you got your lies, you got your, all these people in a band. Clearly things are gonna clash at some point. We got all these people in a band, different opinions. So it just basically follows the life of a rock band. It gave you Fleetwood Mac vibes, and I'm not a 70s rock girl at all. Like, at all. I know a few songs, but this made me feel like I was in the 70s. Like I lived through this. Like, they really feel like a real band. They feel like real people. I gave this 5 stars because to me, a definition of 5 stars, it's not just a great read where you just like have this hangover. To me, a 5-star read is also like, I forgot I was reading. I forgot like that I live on earth. I thought I was here with you. If I can teleport into wherever the story is going, 5-star baby. So I gave this one 5 stars. It was so good. Then I have Abby Jimenez, Part of Your World. I don't think I gave this 5 stars. I think I gave it 4.5, but I mean, the more I think about it, I could have given it 5 stars, but this was so good. This was like, in certain parts, it was literally laugh out loud funny. And you need those funny, fun, light books sometimes, because sometimes I read some books that have some heavy topics, grief, assault, things like that. And sometimes it's just good to get a happy read. And this was it. This follows Daniel and Alexis, I believe her name is. She's like the city girl, he's the farm boy, 2 different worlds. She gets stuck on the side of the road coming back from a funeral, maybe coming back from somewhere, and he helps her like with her tire, I believe it was, and she ends up running to him at the bar in this like really small town. So you get your small town romance too with this. Loved it, ate it up. And it's basically just a story about 2 people from 2 different worlds that have this attraction to each other, and can they fit in each other's worlds? Which world are they going to go in? Is he going to go to the city? Is she going to go to the country? What's going to happen to them? And I love this, and I cannot wait to read every single thing by this author. I knew Just for the Summer was coming out, and I've had this book on my shelf for so long, and yours truly, and I'm like, I want to, before I go buy in that book, I want to see if I like her writing. Love her writing. Auto buy author at this point. Auto buy, and I've only read 1 book. I just know. I know she's going to be a great author for me. Next I have Binding 13 by Khloe Walsh. This is called the Boys of Tommen series. It's a bunch of books. I think one just came out or is about to come out now in this series. And y'all, I can't even really tell you what this is about, because this is like, it kind of gives you not the content, but it kind of gives you, if you've read Magnolia Parks series, it gives you that type of vibe where it's literally just a book full of dialogue. So if you like books that are dialogue heavy, this is definitely one you're going to eat up. It's a very long book. I have one of the versions that doesn't feel so long, but it's still 600 some pages. So it's very long, but you get through it so fast because of the dialogue. So this follows Johnny and Shannon. Shannon has a horrible life. Shannon has a very horrible life. She's from an abusive home. She's gone to schools that, these are high school kids. She goes to a school where she was bullied, like horribly bullied. So she finally convinces her parents, or her parents agree to take her out of the like public school system and send her to this like private school called Tommen College. So she goes there. She gets in an incident where she meets Johnny. Johnny kind of like is attracted to her, but like in a weird way. Like, what is it about this girl that just keeps like drawing me to her? He's a rugby player, and he's just all about his career. He's like one of those like the top high school rugby player. Everybody knows him, like basically a town celebrity. And she's just like a nobody, and they form a relationship. And honestly, the way this book ended, they don't even have a real relationship yet, because all of those pages, you talk about a slow burn. This is slow. And the way this book ended, it ended in the middle of a scene. So it's like, I'm trying to give a scenario, like, choose me or him. And then literally the book ended, like acknowledgments. I was like, what? But low key, I feel like that was like genius, because it sets you up to have to buy the second one. Why is somebody just standing next to my car? I have 30 minutes of a lunch break. You are ruining my video right now, sir. They're legit here. And I'm about to keep doing this video like they're not standing here. Did they seriously just stare at me? Yes, they did. This is weird. Next, I have Magnolia Parks, the 5th one in the series. I feel like this is a very popular book, so I'm not going to go into detail. I've talked about this universe on probably every video, whether it was book 1, book 5, book 4, whatever. I've talked a lot about this, but this definitely was a 5-star read for me. And again, like I was describing my 4 stars before, it's a 5-star for me because I saw so much character development with these characters. They started off as just so immature, so ridiculous, and they've really grown. And there was a lot of, like, I'm sure you guys have watched videos and reviews of other people, you know, talking about how it's like grief heavy and everything. And I was in tears. If you've ever gone through any kind of grief in your life, the way Jessa Hastings poetically wrote about grief, it was just, I can't even explain it. There's no words to explain it. If you love the Magnolia Parks universe, you're going to love this book when you get to it. Next, I have Broken by Fatima Bala. I believe that's how you say it. I wanted kind of like a different kind of read. This one follows Faiza and Ahmad. So they're both Muslim, but Ahmad grew up in Canada, whereas Faiza grew up in Nigeria. So he is more like westernized. So he drinks alcohol. He has sex before marriage. He does things that are basically considered harem. I believe that's how you say it, but basically sinful. So it's an immediate attraction that they have to each other, and then they form a relationship, but it's very difficult in the relationship because she is like stone cold Muslim and he's not. And it was good to see his character development, her character development. It was good to see this different type of love story, and I really did enjoy it. You know, I'm not going to say that I would recommend this for everybody to read. It's not going to be for everybody. It had slow parts, but I just was trying to challenge myself and read something just a little bit different, still in the romance category, but just a little bit different from my normal reads. But if you want to check out something that's a little different, teaches you a lot about culture, a lot about Islam, a lot about Nigeria. It was a really good read, but it was just kind of slow for me, and it just wasn't my type of read. So I'd recommend it for somebody else, but maybe not for, you know, people who like the other type of books that I, you know, have on here. Last, for my physical book, I have My May by Jessica George. This one, I had such high hopes for this one, but it just didn't do it for me. I think I gave it 3 stars, maybe. It was so slow. It's just like a coming of age story. She's trying to find herself. She's young 20. She's trying to find herself in the world. She's a virgin. She really doesn't have a life because she takes care of her father who's ill. She's always done that. She has a mom that travels back and forth from Ghana because they run like a hotel or something like that there, and she's basically responsible for taking care of her father. Her brother's like off in like the entertainment industry, you know, doing something, and he doesn't really help out because he's so busy. I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I mean, I know there's gonna be a lot of people who love this book, and I'm not saying it was a bad book at all, but I just felt like I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't really care for the female main character. I felt like by the end, because she did kind of grow up and she kind of, you know, found herself a little bit, that I was kind of like feeling like rooting for her a little bit, like, girl, get it together. Like, more so because you're getting on my nerves, but, you know, I don't know. But like I said, I'll link what I rated. I think I only rated it 3.5 stars, honestly. I read Next of Kin by Kia Abdullah. This one was so good. I did I give this 5 stars? I think I either gave it 4.5 or 5. It was awesome. It was my first like legal thriller. So, oh my God. Anyway, so the story follows 2 sisters and their husbands. I don't remember their names. 2 sisters and their husbands. The sister that has the kid, you know, they just live a modest life, a regular life. The single one, well, she's not single. I think she's separated from her husband, but they still have a pretty close relationship. She's like a something corporate. I can't remember, but So basically one day her brother-in-law asked like, hey, I need to get to the job really fast. We had a mishap happen. Can you drop Max, which is the kid, off at school? She says no problem. She rushes over there. She takes Max to school. While she's on the way to school, she gets this phone call. This big project they had going on at work, something was missing and she had to go find out where it was or something. I might be mixing that up, but that's the basis of it. She flies to work. She gets the stuff together. She goes on with her work day. The kicker is she never dropped Max off at school. So she doesn't realize that she didn't drop Max off at school until her brother-in-law calls and was like, hey, preschool called. Max never showed up. Are y'all okay? That's when she realizes Max is still in the car seat, in the back seat, in the car on the hottest day of the year. No spoilers. It says that in the synopsis. So you are basically following a court case on whether she intentionally did that to Max or did she simply forget. Oh my God. Those court scenes, crazy. I've never read, it was so intense. It was like you know how you watch like court TV or, those type of shows where it's like the court case. It was so intense. I flew through that book. It was so good. I want to read anything that's a thriller like that again. I want to read more of that. I need more of that. It was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. Anywho, then the second book I read was I forgot the author's name. I think it's India something. The Coldest Secret Ever. A coworker told me about this book. She was like, I think you'll love it, so I read it, and it was a really short book. It was maybe like a little over 200 pages. It wasn't long at all. This follows again, don't remember their names, but the female main character has a husband, has a kid, has a great life, picket fence, dog, all that good stuff. She's got the perfect life, rich. She's got money, everything on the outside seems perfect. Her husband is some high profile somebody. A sex tape comes out of her in like an orgy or something like that of her. But the thing is, she's adamant on like, that is not me. Somebody set me up. She was adopted. So she's trying to figure out, maybe I had a twin sister out here somewhere. So basically you are following this story of her basically trying to prove her innocence. Like, I am not a sex star. I'm not out here, making sex tapes. Look at me. I'm professional. I'm a lady. I'm not ever going to do something like that and embarrass my husband and my kid. And then you need to find out like what is going on with that. So that was an okay read. It kind of gives you Zane vibes. If y'all remember Zane from like back in the day, like it wasn't like so much the erotica of it, but that type of like, it read like a Zane book. So in those books suck you in, but it was kind of predictable. At some place in the story, it was kind of like, okay, where is this going? This is getting kind of ridiculous now. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'd recommend that to you, but if you just want a quick read and something that you can kind of fly through, that's great too. That is it. I think that's all I read. Just the 2 Kindle books and then these that I read that I just went over. And I'm so glad I was able to get this April wrap up. And now I have to go back into work. It's not as rough as I thought it was gonna be, but I feel like it's gonna get there. So let me get my butt back into work and I will see y'all on the next video.